happen somewhere too. So, Senator Gallagher.
Thanks very much, Chair. So is there someone at the table that is familiar with the Australian Government's National Water Infrastructure Development Fund?
Yeah, Mr. Lachlan.
Can you tell me what the value of that fund is?
Senator, the National Water Infrastructure Development Fund was funded at $500 million through the Northern Australia...
Name and title, please, for heads up.
Richard McLaughlin, Assistant Secretary, Water Resources Branch in the Department of Agriculture and Water Resources. The Water Infrastructure Fund is a $500 million commitment, since increased in value to $509 million through the two white papers, the Agriculture Competitiveness White Paper and the Northern Australia Development White Paper.
Okay, and it's how much of that's committed?
At the present time, $60 million has been committed, and that's then through feasibility studies around the country. And the remaining $440 million or thereabouts remains to be committed, and that is the capital funding component.
Okay, thank you. So you would be aware of the South Australian Government. The South Australian Premier announced on 10th of April 2017 that the South Australian Government had committed $110 million to the Northern Adelaide Irrigation Scheme, which is to use recycled water. We're talking about, this is the eminently double use of water, if you like, and that has the potential to create, according to the literature, 12 gigalitres per year of recycled water in creating 3,700 jobs, attracting $1.1 billion in private investment, adding $576 million to the state's economy, and this is only 50% of the project. Were it go to the full expansion of 20 gigalitres, those figures would all double. So I think, Minister, we have asked you for $45.6 million to help fund this project. We believe a decision is imminent. Are you able to commit to this eminently great South Australian scheme in recycled water? Can we get the money off you today?
Well, Senator Gallagher, being a true sort of supporter of South Australia, as you know I am, I'd love you to give you the money today. However, as you know, all good governments, we have to go through processes to. Okay. We funded the Australian Government when we were asked by the South Australian Government when this project was put forward. We funded the feasibility study, which has now been completed, along with a number of other feasibility studies for a number of other projects across the whole of Australia. At the moment, the final stages of the conclusion of those feasibility studies and the assessment of whether they meet the requirements of this particular fund for further assistance from the federal government is in its very final stages. So I would like to think that we would have a response very, very soon for the people of South Australia as to the federal government's commitment or otherwise to this particular project. So, yeah, well on the way down the track of the process that needs to be undertaken to make sure we've got transparency and good governance processes around the hopeful and possible expenditure of additional government funding on this project.
There is money in the fund. You're going through the final stages of governance and probity.
Yep. And there's also an additional $2 billion that was put aside by through the processes of the Deputy Prime Minister in Agriculture, which was a loan fund that is available in addition to the $500 million that is on the table for the infrastructure projects. There's another $2 billion that's been put aside as a loan fund to support the projects, because we had so many more projects were put forward than the money from the fund would able to build. So additional funding has been made available as a loan facility.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I will